My name is Adrian Galani, and I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG, and I will be moderating the first presentation, which will be given by CEO at Scandinavian Biogas, Mr. Matti Vikkola. He will hold a roughly 20-minute presentation, and we will do some Q&A after that. With that being said, Matti, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Pleased to be able to attend the meeting here today, and especially very pleased to see that at least quite many have arrived physically here, given the quite challenging weather conditions in Stockholm. But also welcome to all of you who are online. My name is Matti Vikkola. I'm the CEO of Scandinavian Biogas. Have been now leading the company a bit more than 10 years. And would like first to start about what are we doing as a company. We are producing biogas, and we are using organic waste streams as raw material for that production. The output which we receive from the production, microbiological production, is biogas, which can be used to produce power and heat, or you can upgrade it and use it as a vehicle gas, or you can inject that into the grid. Vehicle gas has been the traditional way to use it here in Sweden. To inject into the grid has been the way how it has been used, for example, in Denmark. And then the newest innovation in our industry is that one liquefies the biogas, so it becomes, from a chemical and physical perspective, the same product as LNG, but our LNG is green, it's bio-LNG, and that is something which is very attractive as a product because it's much easier to transport it, and it can be used for different kind of, purposes, such as heavy transportation and shipping. What was very important last year for our industry, it was a game-changing year due to the Ukrainian war. So far, we have been driving and supporting the CO2 reduction in general. Now we are also supporting actively assuring the European domestic energy supply, and that is boosting both the demand, but boosting also the investments in our sector. The other one, what was important for us last year in general as a market, is that the usage of the CO2, the green CO2, will offer opportunities and additional income for us in the future. How to use the bio-LNG? As we see, the main market longer term will be heavy transportation. Due to the fact that the gas engines have been substantially improved, there is a good selection of suppliers of heavy trucks. What we did last year is that we signed an agreement with a Dutch supplier, a German supplier for LNG and bio-LNG. They have already around 40% market share of filling stations for heavy trucks with LNG and bio-LNG. That is an agreement in the range of 1 terawatt-hours or 2.7 billion Swedish crowns in value with market prices. The other segment which will be important taking us forward is the maritime usage. There are already now 500 ships either already using LNG or going to use quite soon. And then the third segment is industrial usage. There's a huge need to renewable energy from industrial customers' perspective, but that is a industrial segment where we see that the price point will be somewhat lower than for heavy transportation and shipping. So we believe that the volumes will go mainly to these two segments when taking forward. What was important last year is that, as I mentioned, due to the fact that European Commission wanted to boost the production of biogas in Europe, several investors have flagged for an interest to be part of the game. Goldman Sachs just announced a interest to invest 1 billion euros in European biomethane market. Shell took over the Danish Nature Energy with a enterprise value in the range of $2 billion. Varo has announced 3.5 million total investments, and our understanding is that around 800 million of that is for biomethane. And then from political angle, our industrial cooperation organization, EBA, has initiated with EU Commission a partnership in order to assure that bottlenecks will be resolved and the growth will be boosted. So these are the key points from the market perspective. If we take then our company as such, at the end of the year, our intake and offtake order book was on a level of 2.4 terawatt-hours. One can compare that with our supplies last year, which were a bit less than 400 gigawatt-hours. So it is more than around 6 years volumes given the last year's volumes. We established last year a growth-oriented organization in order to be able to better meet those needs which we see in the market and to leverage those opportunities. We are happy with the pipeline we have overall internally in order to reach our 2024 and 2026 targets, which I will describe a bit later on. What was also very important last year, that we saw a substantial change in the market prices for biogas and biomethane, which implies a 50 to even 300% premium compared to those prices we had earlier on. However, this price change will take some time because the old agreements are based on the old prices and the new agreements are based on the new prices. And this slide is showing how we are transforming the prices from old ones to new ones. Traditionally, the prices we have had for our biogas have been around 600 SEK per megawatt hour, and the new agreements in the Scandinavian market are in the range of 1,400 to 1,800. So there's a substantial premium compared to what we have received earlier on. And then in the German transport sector, given the agreement I was referring with Alten, the average price is in the range of 2,700, given those market prices we have had when we signed it, and even now in February. And this 2,700 price is especially in the German transportation segment. It's worth noting that majority of that income is related to CO2 certificates, and minority is based on energy income itself or energy itself. So subject to what kind of, say, feedstock we are using, we can have higher CO2 value or lower, and as well as then commercial impact of that, with a good opportunity to be able to influence the total income. And then on the graph, you will see how we will successfully reduce the share of old agreements and increase the share of new agreements, and that will then boost our profitability when taking company forward. On this slide, we have the volumes of current facilities and those investment decisions which we have made, but the new ones forthcomes for the future, which are in the pipeline, they are not yet included here. Due to the fact that energy prices were higher last year, and given the fact that our energy or sales prices in the old agreements are fixed with an annual indexation, we were forced to reduce somewhat our supplies due to the fact that some of the raw materials we used, like glycerin, became so expensive, and that was one of the reasons why the supplies and net sales last year were somewhat lower, and we are now preparing for the future, getting better value for the products and even increasing the volumes. We signed agreements on a level of 1.3 terawatt-hours, so it was the 1 terawatt-hour with Alten in Germany, as well as 300 gigawatt-hours here in Scandinavia with the leading player. What we also did is that we had a share issue last autumn, and we were able to strengthen our financial position. We received altogether 326 million additional equity into the company, mainly coming from the Norwegian Aneo. And today we have two largest shareholders own around 50% of the company, and four largest around 70% of the company. Worth noting here is case Landvärme. You may have seen some publicity during the last days in Swedish media. The EU Commission granted Sweden a tax exemption for the energy tax, which for biogas for a 10-year period until 2030. That was not. There was a legal case on that in EU tribunal, and they, due to process reasons, did not accept that tax exemption, and actually now Swedish government have decided to encourage the Commission to reopen the case and to do the evaluation as needed in order to assure longer term the tax exemption. But as we speak today, that tax exemption does not apply for biogas in Sweden, and we will see somewhat higher costs for biogas users in the range of 20% plus, as I would expect. The main points for our last quarter, I think, is to what I would like to flag for is that we were able to make a decision on a large-scale investment project in Mönsterås in Sweden on a level of 760 million Swedish totally. The facility will commence next summer, I mean summer 2024, with a total capacity of 120 gigawatt hours annually. So that is the most important one to flag for here, and we had also some operative challenges in Skåne 2 when we are commissioning one of the investment projects there. They have been now improved during the first months of this year substantially. As you see here, the sales have been say pretty stable level, but the operative EBITDA last year we were not at all pleased. The main reasons for the drop for the first two quarters were that we did not receive the production subsidy from Sweden, which we have received the quarters before at the end of 2021. The drop in 2022 Q4 was related mainly to the challenges in the commissioning in Norway, Skåne 2, but also to high energy prices. We have hedged our power usage for a large part, but not fully, and that has impacted the profitability Q4. Cash flow and cash position, key point here is that the cash flow was lower than before, given the lower profitability. Main cash out is related to our substantial investment program, which is ongoing in order to boost the production and to leverage the situation out of the market. Given the share issue at the end of the year, the total liquidity of the company was on a level of 560 million. And this, in this figure, our revolving credit facility on 300 million is not at all included. It's not used yet. And that implies that the net debt was on a level of 360 million, and including leasing on a level of a bit less than 260. So the net debt without the leasing was a bit more than 100. What is important is to look forward, and given the unsatisfactory financial performance, how are we able to improve the profitability? We have confirmed a couple of years ago our financial target to be to reach operative EBITDA margin on a level of 30% at least 2024. The key drivers to achieve that target is increasing the production volumes, mainly coming from the Mönsterås project and the Skåne 2. So that implies that the volumes will be increased by 30% when comparing to 2022. Given the change in the market with the prices, we see that our sales prices per gigawatt hour will improve by increase at least by 40%. And we see also that our COGS, our operative costs per gigawatt hour will also increase somewhat, but not at all in the same speed as the sales prices are doing. So having said that, what we expect ourselves to be able to show a profit before tax when our facility here in Stockholm and the Mönsterås have been commissioned and have reached a good reasonable operative capacity utilization level. Mönsterås project, we will start the commissioning summer 2024. Stockholm ABG, we will start already this summer 2023. And the investment projects which are now ongoing, this is a summary on those. These are aligned with our 2024 targets. It's a total value of a bit more than 1.6 billion Swedish crowns. Substantial part also financed by Klimatklivet as grants, but the main equity financing is already assured. Some additional debt financing may be needed and will be needed for Skång 3. They are already all ongoing or commissioned, Skång 2. Skång 3 is still something what we are assessing what is the optimal way to use the money and to improve the profitability at that facility. And then when taking the company forward, our aim is to reach 3 terawatt-hours 2020-30. And to compare this 3 terawatt-hours target, EU Commission target is to have 340 terawatt-hours in Europe 2030. So it would imply a rough 1% market share in Europe. And given the fact that we have already made investment decisions on level of 600 gigawatt-hours, and the target for 2026 is 1.2 terawatt-hours, we are looking for additional investments in the range of 600 gigawatt-hours the forthcoming 22 months before the end of next year, with a total estimated investment budget on around 3 billion Swedish crowns. And as mentioned, the key financial targets 2024, at least a revenue on 650 million crowns and operative margin at least 30%. And how could the company look like 2030 when the targets and if they would be achieved? We see the Northern Europe as our home market. Northern Europe, including besides of Nordics, Germany, Poland, and Benelux, and roughly we estimate that the capex for 1 gigawatt-hour is 4 to 6 million crowns. So additional 500 gigawatt-hours implies a total investment between 2 to 3 billion crowns. And then finally, the outlook for this year, we see that some of the challenges we had last year will continue during the first half, but when we are able to commission now the Stockholm LBG facility during the second half, and we get also a positive impact from the renegotiated volumes, we see a improvement in the group profitability, taking the company forward. So this was the overall review on Scandinavian Biogas, and I'm pleased to take any questions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that presentation, and we'll go right ahead with some Q&A. Starting off, you were pretty clear on the 2024 targets, and you showed us all the expansion projects leading up to that. But then there's a pretty big jump from 600 gigawatt-hour capacity in 24 to a target of 1.2 terawatt-hours in 2026. Can you just talk a bit about how the pipeline looks beyond 2024?
Okay, very good, thank you. The additional requirement in order to reach 1.2 terawatt-hours, one project which we have already referred is the Skång 3, which is in the public domain. We have also already confirmed that we have a project in Skånes Fagerhult, for which we have received Klimatklivet investment subsidy on a level of 150 million Swedish crowns. That is something which is in the pipeline. So these two should be on a level of 200 gigawatt-hours of the remaining 600. And thus the question is, how do we achieve the remaining 400? And the remaining 400 We are looking investment opportunities both in Sweden, and secondly, we are looking also opportunities in Germany and Poland. We are pleased with the pipeline, and as I mentioned, our aim is to be able to make all these investment decisions before the end of next year. So we need also to assure the financing, and that implies that we need to be able to be very specific with these projects still this year. And what is important to note is that we are clearly aiming to standardize, use the same kind of a feedstock, mainly from agricultural sources, manure as a main source, and standardize the facilities and the functions in order to win time in negotiations with suppliers, but also getting benefits in the operations and maintenance.
Okay. And when we look at the pipeline of, again, 1.2 terawatt hours to 2026, are you exclusively looking at greenfield projects, or are you considering M&A as an alternative as well?
We are definitely looking at M&A opportunities as well. However, our strategy is based on a bit larger facilities than the market average is. So, say the number of those facilities which have a very good fit with our own strategy is fairly limited. Having said that, we are of course looking also for other opportunities, assuming that there is a reasonable investment needed to improve and renovate the existing sites. But yeah, we are looking, but it's I would say the main path is greenfields.
Okay. And regarding pricing of biogas as well, of course, the expansions you are currently doing, they are adding volume, but they're also converting from your current compressed biogas production to liquefied biogas. Can you just talk a bit about the differences there and why liquefied biogas commands a higher price and why that's an interesting investment for you to convert?
Yes, we have traditionally here in Sweden, we have sold a large part of our biogas as a compressed biogas. As fordonsgas, as a vehicle gas. And given the higher premium and higher flexibility, we decided to invest in the bio-LNG facility here in Stockholm, in Huddinge, Södertörn, with the aim to increase the premium. And the reason for the premium is partly related to that we have a broader base of customers. We can transport it, export it. So that's one of the factors. Second factor is that it offers a broader base of customers which can use it. That's one factor. And then I think one very important factor is that in the continental markets, there is a more developed market for the certificates, green certificates for the biogas, which we do not yet have here in Nordics or Scandinavia. So we will get more value for the green energy when we export it, for example, into Germany.
And the price or the premium price of liquefied biogas, would you say that this is sustainable long term? I mean, currently supply is pretty scarce, but presumably over time there's going to be more competition here. Is there a risk of it becoming commoditized over time?
That's also a very good question. The liquid biogas market is a fairly new market. It's expanding very fast. Demand is driven by the heavy transportation sector, especially shipping as well, given the EU regulation forthcoming. I would expect that the price level, the supply demand will do its own balancing in a way. But more important is the regulation, how the regulation is steered. Now the German regulation is applied until 2030, and there are some discussions that even the European CO2 trading system, ETS, would be applied on traffic sector, which in our mind should also boost the value of the bio-LNG in the European heavy transportation market overall. So there are factors which are supporting the pretty good price picture, but on the other hand, also some additional the volumes are increasing, which means that the supply is increasing. It's quite difficult to see how the price will really stabilize, but we are pleased with the current prices we have with the LNG, JDF. It is substantially lower than it was 6 months ago, as well as the values of the green certificates.
Okay, and just one quick final question on some recent news flow. You talked very shortly about this tax exemption that was denied by the EU courts in Sweden. Can you just very quickly describe how that affects you in the short term?
The impact is so that in the system, the player the supplier who is selling to end customer, they have the obligation to pay the energy tax. We, to the extent we are producing and supplying to a distributor, it doesn't impact us as a tax, but then it can impact in terms of volumes. So if the volumes will go down in Sweden due to the higher prices at pump, then we'll have an impact for the value chain. But we are also now pleased that we have the bio-LNG opportunity here in Stockholm region because it offers us opportunities to export in case the volumes get lower here. For those customers which are the final customers, we have also the obligation to pay now the tax, which we see that we have the right to put it as on top to the selling prices as it is a tax.
Okay. With that being said, I think we're running out of time, so I'll just leave it up to you for some final remarks, if you'd like to say anything.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adrian. It was a great pleasure to having the opportunity to be here. Major changes in the biogas market last year, boosting the demand and really supporting the industrial development. It's a very exciting phase for our company, and we are really excited about the growth opportunities which we are now working with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.